Hi there everybody, this is David and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Trails in the Sky First Chapter. This game is an all-time classic and the whole series has been going on strong for like 20-something years now. But again, this is a remake of the very first entry, so it is time to welcome all the newcomers into Zemuria. If you haven't started up this series yet, now is your opportunity. And while the world building is a little bit huge, so is the learning curve if this is your first time coming on in fresh. And if it is your first time, you've definitely come to the right place because I'm going to be walking you through everything that you need to know in order to make your time in Liberl a really smooth and productive one. And I definitely do think that's worth the sub as you come and you join our party and you level on up with me. Thank you so much for your sub, your like, and your brand new hype. It helps me out a ton. But before we do begin, let's first have a word from today's sponsor. If you love classic dungeon crawlers, then Classic Heroes 3 Remastered is one for you. And it is the best in the series as well. Releasing on September 18th for the PS5, Switch, and PC, this remaster brings the once Japan-only PSP title over to the West for the very first time, fully upgraded and streamlined. Here you can choose from 3 different magical academies, each with unique quests, difficulties, and starting zones, along with tons of different job classes, races, voices, and character designs to make your party your own. All the dungeons are some of like the most unique and rewarding, and this here isn't baby mode either. This is old school challenge that will really test your strategy. With deep party customization, lightning fast combat, and an awesome bond system that lets your characters unlock powerful skills throughout their relationships, this here is the culmination of the cult classic series. So, whether you're a dungeon crawling veteran or just getting into the genre, this here is the perfect place to start. Classic Heroes 3 Remastered is out on September 18th for the PS5, Switch, and PC, so be sure to wishlist it. And now, let's get on back to today's video. First up, let's just go over some battling basics. Let's first talk about the turn order, cause well yeah, it is represented on the left hand side of the screen. There's also all these like little symbols along with it, and what does that all mean? Basically, all those are little bonuses that you can get whenever you attack on a particular turn, but also do keep in mind that enemies get those same bonuses too. We're talking things like healing up your HP or EP, increasing your strength, or even getting in a critical hit. And you want those bonuses and you don't want your enemies to have them. And there are multiple ways to do this, from just like straight up stealing their turn by using an S-craft before they can get a move in, to increasing your own speed stat and jumbling up the turn order, or just straight up canceling their spells and then delaying their turns. Yeah, you heard me right. You can just cancel an enemy spell whenever you want to, and there are 2 ways to do this. First, there is the impede quartz, and then every time that you attack the enemy with that quartz equipped, you have a chance to interrupt their spell. The bigger the impede quartz is, the higher your chance is. However, it is still a chance and it's not the most reliable thing. So the real trick is learning which crafts have guaranteed cancels and delays, because those are the real lifesavers. Number 2, how do all the orbments work? Okay, let's talk about these. The game kind of throws this system at you and just kind of like shrugs and says, you'll figure it out. You will notice that you don't really get gold after the enemy fights, instead you get sepith. And you're going to want to save the 7 elemental sepiths, because that's going to help you get new quartz and open up new slots in your orbments. However, feel free to sell all of the sepith mass, because that is essentially the currency of the game. Okay, so here's the deal. Each character has their own orbment grid with their own slots, and opening up more slots in the orbment at the shop not only lets you equip an extra quartz, but it also raises up your maximum EP so you can cast more magic. And you don't want to just kind of like randomly throw your quartz inside the orbment, because quartzes have different elemental values. There's fire, water, wind, earth, mirage, space, and time. And depending on how you line them up on a character's grid, you will unlock different spells. Some characters have long lines, some characters have short lines. But the longer the line is, the more quartz you can put on it, and then the more powerful spells that you'll unlock. And some of these slots are also locked to a certain element, like Joshua. He has to use a time quartz in a couple of his slots. So if you say want like the most powerful healing spell in the game, then you'd better find a character who has a really long line and then put a whole bunch of water quartz into that line to unlock that powerful healing spell. Number 3, killer quartz. Okay, so you might just think like, okay, I can just kind of like put whatever I want in these quartz slots and it'll be fine. Or maybe I should just kind of like learn some basic elemental spells and some healing spells and things like that. And yeah, sure, you are going to want a variety of spells, of course, and there are some neat ones that increase your attack and defense power and stuff like that, but honestly, I really do feel like for the most important quartz in the entire game are these four: the Impede, Evade, Hit, and Action quartzes, and let me tell you why. First of all, Impede. We kind of already covered that. It lets you cancel spells and you can thank me later. An enemy just not getting a turn in is crazy. Then there's Evade and Hit. This is kind of obvious, but it's also huge, because Hit increases your accuracy. And in this game, whenever you miss, not only do you essentially lose your turn by doing nothing, but the enemy also gets a counterattack on you. However, the same thing happens if an enemy attacks you and then they miss. You don't take any damage, and you also get an extra attack in your counterattack against them. So the key here is that you want your accuracy as high as possible so that you never miss, and then you want your evasion as high as possible too, so that they always miss you, and that you're, also constantly getting in those counterattacks on them, because every single time that they miss, you're essentially getting a free turn. Then there's the Action Quartz, which is essentially speed. And everyone in Trails is obsessed with speed. Action makes you act sooner. And that actually matters here with this turn order gauge. There are times whenever you load up a really fast character like Joshua with a whole bunch of action quartzes and speedy accessories, and he'll get 2 turns versus a slower character's 1 turn. So if you're over there wondering why enemies feel like they're getting a whole bunch of turns in a row and you're not getting to do anything at all, that's because you need more action quartz. Number 4, the power of points. Every single time that you do side quests or little odd jobs, you'll earn bracer points. Rack up enough and your rank goes up. And then you get these rewards that you literally can't get anywhere else. Sometimes even hidden scenes. And if you're the type who skip side quests because, these are just filler, Trails isn't the game for you. And you're going to be finding these side quests everywhere, not just at the Bracer Guild, and not just throughout the main storyline. You're going to have to go off the beaten path to find some of the more hidden side quests. Thankfully though, in this remake, they are marked for you because they definitely were not marked in the original game. So after every single main story event, you want to look at your larger map, and then check for any sort of exclamation points and see what's going on there for a side quest. But while you are doing the side quests, also make sure that you're paying attention to the dialogue, because sometimes you're going to be asked a question, and then depending on your answer, you might get some extra bracer points. But that's not the only point that you can get, because there's kind of an in-game reward or trophy system too. So don't forget to check out that reward portion in the menu and rack up all those sweet, sweet items. And number 5, Missables are a thing. I know nowadays whenever you mention missables in an RPG, everybody just cringes and cries, and yeah, I hate them too, but this game is still a product of its time, and missables are still a thing. First of all, every single side quest has a time limit, and if you take too long to do that side quest, oh well, you're shit out of luck. It's no longer there for you. So always do side quests before you tackle the main quests. Not only that, always check for the blue exclamation points after each major story event, because there might just be a little short scene that you can check out and get an opportunity to grab a useful book or a cool item that you otherwise couldn't get. And speaking of books, whenever you see them for sale in a shop, always buy them. They're super cheap and you don't want to pass them up. You'll see why as you play the game. Not only that, each region has its own tower, and most of the time these towers are optional, and the higher elements are active there, and the enemies are harder, but the treasures and the rewards and the payoffs are great. So make sure that you tackle every single tower in every single region before you move on to the next region in Liberl, because guess what? It's a missable. Once you move on from one region of Liberl to the next, you cannot go back to the previous region. You're completely locked out. Yeah, you do one region at a time here. So keep that in mind, especially if you happen to be in a certain commercial city with a bustling market that has some really cool accessories that you'll never be able to buy again once you leave that region. So there you go. These are 5 things that I wish that I knew before starting up Trails in the Sky first chapter. If you follow these, I'm sure you'll have no trouble really deep diving into the land of Liberl, and eventually seeing why people do swear by this series. And if you have any other hints and tips that you'd like to share, please do so below in the comments, and if this did help you out, do me a favor and level up and join my party by subscribing. More reviews, guides, news, and RPG deep dives are on the way. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in Zemuria, and have a good day.